The tournament is still upon us. Nappa Squared wouldn't give up, so we won't. Hey folks, MasakoX here. Yes, we've reached the 20s with this what if, and it's only because there's been so much to talk about with this guy. Nappa, the most loyal minion to Vegeta. Even though his boss on the original didn't return the loyalty at all. He's a character though you feel could make for the best flunky this side of Pluto. And in today's what if, we could look to what he could do for the Dragon Team, and most importantly, being in the debt of Son Goku, who saved his life in this story, and helping him out with his family in some way possible. Give him some sense of purpose for the future now he's no longer tending to the little one, or whatever years he has left, considering he was actually in his 50s when he and the short one landed on Earth. If Nappa indeed turned good, would he use these years wisely? In short, yes. In our story, we had Nappa go through a lot of phases and lifestyle changes to find out what was right for him. He started off as a bodyguard for Goku, then a chauffeur for his family, then a gardener, and then finally settling into doing sort of a mixture of all of them, being his own personal groundskeeper for his own place, mostly spending his days tending to gardens, taking solace in the quieter side of life. He was even able to find love and companionship to some extent in the former Cafe, an artist with a heart of gold, who appreciated Nappa's soft touch, despite his seemingly outward roughness. In the last part of the Nappa vs Tournament of Power, a lot has happened despite the arc itself dragging in most of its iterations. Goten gets yanked out of the contest by Frost, despite having gained a good amount of power prior to said contest. The Frost Demon had disrupted Goten's honourable duel with Kappa to do so, and he'd been really keen to duel Goten as well after seeing what he could do in the Universe 6 tournament and all. Meanwhile, Nappa was acting like a teacher to Kale in having to contend with another Berserker Saiyan. He had been trying to teach her a more manageable level of control over her latent powers so she wasn't going all in, so that she didn't harm other people or herself, and also because he wished to make up for his own times when he went a little nuts when he first discovered the power. King Cold and the androids proved to be a rather effective combo against the kamikaze fireballs, with the Monarch really praising their efforts as a team and efficient power delivery with the Infinity Engine. Oh, if only his bods had thought of making these androids for the time when he was king. Meanwhile, there were plenty of regular events going on amongst our own contributions to the story. Everyone around the slowly scuffing up arena can witness the immense duel between the likes of Goku and Jiren. As you folks may have probably guessed already, we are not really going to be deviating from this particular storyline since both characters are really identical in their powers to the original timeline, so what's the point of retreading old ground? Their first encounter ends with the whole wormhole-y thing, and just as everyone is about to mourn Kakarot, thinking that he had succumbed to this rather bizarre phenomenon that had never happened before, it turns out he has been able to go Ultra Instinct, and that this was simply the catalyst to activate it within his own body. Apparently. With all of that now out in the open, this really does a number on our big man. Nappa feels older than ever.
There's no way that I'm gonna be getting that power. These kids are getting too far ahead. Jeez.
He places his hand on his forehead and is left stunned with how Goku is able to dart around the attacks of this Pride Trooper in this bizarre form. Initially, Goku does indeed show some really great results against the top fighter of Universe 11. Everyone actually thinks that he could possibly win, but sadly after a relatively short and considerably exhausting duel, he falls out of Ultra Instinct at the worst possible time, when he was about to deck Jiren in the schnoz, and nothing happened. Nappa was ready to come in and do his thing of being a bodyguard, getting Goku out of there, but it turns out that he really wasn't required for this particular save. Much to Nappa's surprise, really big surprise, Goku gets saved by Freeza, of all people. He could see from a distance the purple aura rising and falling, before then seeing Goku get up and slink away to regain further energy and solitude. This left Nappa thrown for a loop after all the things he had seen Freeza do over the years firsthand. This was probably the most selfless thing he had ever done. There had to be a catch.
Well, his will to live again appears to be pretty strong. It seems too strong. This may be dangerous. I better rest a little bit in case Kakarot gets jumped by him.
However, just as Nappa was about to find a place to hide and take a breather himself, he is jumped himself. The Saiyan doesn't have any time to properly rest since he now has to fight off the likes of Toppo, who decided that now was the best time to seize the moment, and when our favourite Big Baldy appeared to have been actually weakened and needed a bit of a breather, the leader of the Pride Troopers just goes in. The two mustachioed fellas duking it out.
Saiyan, justice shall be brought to bear. Prepare yourself.
Nappa let out a sigh.
Can you give it a break about this justice shtick? You sound like us Saiyans with the whole pride thing.
Toppo was blustering.
How dare you! You clearly need to be taught the values of justice post-haste!
Fortunately for Nappa, this was a team event, it wasn't one-on-one. Seconds later, Kami rushes in to help his friend, and is able to heal him slightly. Not entirely, but enough to take the edge off his fatigue. And please, don't but MasakoX on this one. Kami is actually capable of restoring entire bodies, so we're sure that by the time of Super, he has to know at least some modicum of healing abilities. That has to be much easier than reconstituting entire bodies, surely. Thanks to this intervention, this does allow Nappa to better hold his own against Toppo, while Dispo goes for the Guardian of Earth in retaliation. Nappa knows that he can't win against Toppo outright in whatever power he has, but at least he can keep the mustachioed one at bay for a while, so that means he's not attacking anyone else. There was life in the old boy yet. But let's get back to Kami for a second though. He may not be a warrior clan Namekian, but he still knows plenty of tricks up his sleeves to surprise the fastest rabbit in the multiverse. We remind you, this tournament is about power, yes, but not just the whole strength power. Other powers could prove to be just as useful, and this is especially apparent when it comes to using Kami's patented exploding wave technique to keep Dispo away from getting within melee range of Kami in order to negate his biggest advantage, which are indeed speedy melee attacks. Dispo is getting more and more frustrated with being kept away from Kami, and his movements are getting more and more ragged, much to Kami's advantage and satisfaction. Quick to move, quick to anger, Kami joked to himself. Sadly though, there is only so long that he could keep this whole thing up. I mean, come on, Dispo is the third strongest fighter of Universe 11, to be fair. And although Kami is able to hold him back for quite a long time, impressively so, he does eventually get fatigued and is knocked out. And speaking of Namekians, Salnel and Pilina of Universe 6 are fighting Gohan, who is dealing with them in a quite skillful manner. And Jimizu finally gets beaten by Vegeta, the prince taking very big catharsis from doing so.
The little fly took far too long to swat out of here. I could have been fighting more interesting people. Whatever.
Cold, 17 and 18 in their mini-alliance for the time being, decide to take their fight to Universe 3. Seeing as they've been flying under the radar for quite a while, no one was really paying much attention to them. As Pepperoni realizes that they've been rumbled, their situation starting to look pretty grim, he orders his creations to fuse into the almighty Kuchiara Tor. Meanwhile, now with some time to recompose herself and take stock of Nappa's advice from earlier, Kale comes to her senses, and together with Caulifla, they fuse into Kefla, all thanks to Champa providing them with Potara earrings earlier. And Kefla, she's a pretty effective threat. Her first course of action after fusing is to get stuck in to the main battles. She disrupts the fight between Universe 7 and 3, causing much irritations for both parties, who actually really started to get into their situation. They were actually enjoying this. Both Cold and Pepperoni looked at each other and temporarily agreed to pause their own personal fracas and get this irritant out of the picture, joining forces. King Cold attempts to stop her personally, but even with his golden powers, he is pretty surprised by this strength.
These Saiyans, is there no limit to how strong they can get?
Before he is able to react any further and get his bearings with the whole chicanery, the fused warrior knocks him out of the ring with much laughter and satisfaction. Back in the stands, Cold is no longer in his golden form and is seething, banging his hands on the benches, causing them to slightly crack from the force.
This is outrageous! No accessories, that's what they said! How dare they make a mockery of such simplistic rules? There is no honor in this! Hey! Universe 6 broke the rules regarding outside items! Stop them at once!
King Cold looks at Zeno, ordering Zeno even. He gives him an even colder look, which makes Cold quake.
He's cool looking, so it's okay.
He then looks away. Cold grits his teeth. Cool looking? Of all the... Realizing the situation and who this child was, Cold has no choice but to swallow his pride and just look at Shin. If Universe 6 had been given clearance to flout the regulations so flagrantly, then so can they.
Kai, don't we have those things as well? We confuse our fighters as well, seeing as the squirt has deemed it admissible.
Shin is thinking about this with much further, but also hesitation. Beerus rolling his eyes. I cannot believe that I am agreeing with his coolness here, but he's right. Shin, do what he said. Shin nods and takes off his earrings. Beerus then looks to the closest combatants he can find, spotting the droids. Hey, you two! Think fast! Kefla then spots the earrings being thrown into the ring, trying to intercept them, but fortunately for our team, Nappa has been able to break away from Toppo and tanks Kefla for just a second, long enough so that someone can catch the earrings. And as such, Android 35 is born. Well, I mean, hey, it was mooted in the anime, so why didn't we explore it here? Remember that whole super fan art thing from a couple of years ago? Let's drudge up one of the pictures from that, shall we? 35 and Kefla fight it out pretty evenly, but in the end, the synthetic warrior is just that little bit more synced. Not to mention the whole thing with time limits amongst mortals, and also thanks to 2 infinite engines that we explore in other what ifs, their stamina is superior, and as such, they whittle Kefla down to the point of them being hurled out of the ring and defusing. And meanwhile, Jiren is taking out Hit and Kaba, wearing Universe 6's team rather thin, with the only one remaining in the ring being Frost, and Champa is left quivering with fear. Papa only uses the whole commotion to fuse himself and his creations into Anilaza, thankful that Cold was nowhere to be seen to check him. It takes the combined might of all Universe 7 fighters to beat it, and the all-powerful bot gets worn down and defeated. Then the fight between Gohan, Dispo and Frieza is still there, ending like the original. And now Universe 7 is down to Goku, Nappa, Vegeta, Android 35 and Frieza. It seems like a case of spring cleaning is in order, since Jiren is busy getting rid of the remaining members of other universes, purposefully avoiding the Universe 7 contingent for the time being. Android 35 and Goku have enough of this, and they try to wear down the alien as best they can, but he proves to be just that little bit too much, telling them to get away from him.
I will deal with you imbeciles later.
As that's going on, Frieza, Vegeta and Nappa take their outrage on Toppo, and Toppo feels threatened, especially by Frieza's underhanded tactics like the original, going into his destroyer mode, and yes, beating Frieza into a pulp again. Nappa has to go berserk against Toppo in order to counter, with Vegeta supporting him. And finally, Nappa is able to defeat Toppo, thanks to the prince's support. Like old times, sorta, knocking the leader of the Pride Troopers out. But Jiren sees all of this occur and shoots a powerful heat blast in Nappa's direction, trying to wear down the 2 Saiyans. Nappa, instead of getting out of the way, just takes the blast, so it won't hurt Vegeta. He gets thrown out of the arena, because he was being a good boy. Vegeta appears to be frustrated that his attacks are still not strong enough to damage Jiren in any way, but remains vigilant, trying his best to disrupt Jiren like an annoying fly would do. Goku then finally gets into his mastered Ultra Instinct sign form, but before he's able to actually fully do the job, his body breaks, and Jiren is about to finish the battle himself, but Vegeta, he manages to save Kakarot from a knockout. Frieza and 35 stand up again, on their feet, against the Pride Trooper, who gets a boost thanks to Toppo's speech. But, in the end, it takes the powers of all the fighters left to knock Jiren down, with Goku, 35 and Frieza launching themselves from the arena and tank Jiren out. The winner is Vegeta. Despite this though, Vegeta doesn't feel like a winner. He didn't land the finishing blow. He was lucky. But, with the power of the Super Dragon Balls though, he could wish for power equal to that of Kakarot, or at least Nappa, or anyone, maybe even stronger. Their power was limitless. He could truly make up the deficit once and for all, and maybe blow past their power. He looks at his old comrades, smiling in pride, witnessing his victory. Prince Vegeta of Universe 7, what is your wish? The GP looks at him, expecting an answer. Vegeta eyes the Chief Angel and sighs. Oh, this is too easy. He can't wish for power instantly like this. It's unbecoming for a prince.
Just bring back all those erased fools. They'll never get better if they just disappear.
That's the correct wish, the GP's smiling at Vegeta, who after hearing out the whole explanation, feels like he dodged a bullet out of there, not going for his original wish. Hey, that was a great wish, Vegeta! Nappa's smiling and patting Vegeta on the back. It's only because your stupid presence is making me feel softer. Ah, that's my boy. Much to the Saiyans' worry though, Cold and Frieza are resurrected by Whis for their help in the fight. If you try anything, we'll come for you. Oh, I know that. That's why I wish to call a truce. We don't mess with your planet, and you don't mess with our affairs. Daddy, you can't be doing that. Think of what we're about to achieve. Goku gives Cold a stern look. Deal. For now. But if you try to enslave more and more races, expect a visit from us. Oh, don't worry, Son Goku. Everything we do is going to be above board. Cold gives Goku a wicked grin. And so, everyone returns home. Nappa is able to rest a bit with Cafe, Goten is pretty excited to visit Universe 6 to see Kaba, and the androids defuse after a while, deciding that they will never do that again. Ever. Meanwhile, Bullet gives Vegeta a medal that she made for him. This is for saving the universe, Uncle.
I don't need petty medals, child, but thanks, I guess.
And even though Vegeta was putting on a brave face, trying to be macho, the medal is displayed on his desk in his security office within Capsule Corp. Aww. And that's where we're going to be leaving things for right now. So what do you folks think? Will Nappa finally get a long break, or will future events lead to him ultimately getting beat? Leave a comment below, and let's get this discussion going. And I shall see you in the next video. Catch you later!